Hi there, I'm Richard Hill, the host of eCommerce One, and welcome to yet another episode, 187. Now, in this episode, I speak with Victoria Locking, UK Agency Partnership Manager at Reviews.io. Now, working at the industry's most respected tech companies, Victoria has a wealth of experience working with merchants and the ever-evolving tech stack, now heading up partnerships in the UK for Reviews.io. Now, it's no secret that reviews play a critical part in any successful business, but in e-commerce, they can, if done right, be the centre flywheel for content, retention and the wider marketing mix. In this episode, Victoria covers UGC and the importance of developing rich media, building out loyalty programs within your review platform, where most companies set and forget their review platform, simple actions to really embrace your reviews and build a positive culture around learning from your customers' experience. We talk women in business and e-commerce, and what's next for reviews, and of course, so much more in this one. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe or follow button wherever you're listening to this podcast so you're always the first to know when a new episode is released. Now, let's head over to this fantastic episode. How are we doing?
Good. How are you today?
I am very well. I'm very well. I've been looking forward to this. I've had a nice sort of 3.5 weeks off.
Yes.
And I've come back to what I know will be a fantastic episode of eCommerce One.
Yeah, hopefully. Very excited.
So welcome to the podcast, Victoria.
Thank you.
I think first things first, introduce yourself to our listeners and how you got into the world of e-commerce.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm Victoria Locking. I am the UK Partnerships Manager at Reviews.io, and I work predominantly with agencies across the e-commerce industry. How did I come into e-commerce? I fell into it, that cliche. I just happened to get a job at another e-com tech provider, but I used to always work with horses outside until I was about 25. So I just happened to move into an office job, and then it kind of just went from there, from like an admin role into customer support, customer success, and then into partnerships.
So horses to reviews.
Horses to reviews. Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's some spurious connection I can come up with there.
Yeah, there's some tenuous link maybe, but yeah. Oh, yeah.
So so as a youngster and a teenager and a young adult,
yeah,
horses, then started.
Still got my own horse as well in the background, so still doing that very much as a hobby.
Oh, lovely.
And that's where most of my money goes. Thank you, reviews. That's what you're funding.
My best friend, we joke, his daughter's 15, I think.
Yeah.
No, she's not. She's 13, I think. And we went over like 3 years ago and 2 years ago, and every year he's like, we'll get your horse next year, darling. We'll get your horse next year, darling. We'll get your horse next year, darling.
Don't make the mistake.
He's like, I'm hoping she might
it might
go into something else, but it seems like she's really, 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 really into it now. So I think the time is nigh. It's going to have to...
it's happening.
He's going to have to spend some money.
Yes, exactly.
So reviews and Reviews.io. I think... obviously, we had Callum on the podcast, the founder of Reviews.io, maybe like 3.5 years, one of the very, very early episodes, and obviously fantastic journey. You know, and I know Callum, I met Callum probably the week that he set up Reviews.io, way back probably, 12, 13 years ago, somewhere there.
Yeah.
But obviously now, it's been built into, a huge organisation. I know it was recently acquired, or 6 months or so acquired, an investment, etc., and multi-locations around the world and different offices. So it's, it's a whole different beast to what it was 3 years ago. Obviously, knowing the story right from the beginning, sort of 12, 13 years ago. But I think, there's a lot of review platforms out there. A lot. I think anybody listening, it's obvious you need reviews. Everything, we're beyond that sort of do you, don't you? Of course you do. But then picking and choosing what platform to use, why Reviews.io?
Yeah. So I truly believe, I remember Callum and reviews kind of coming out onto the market as well. Where I started previously was at a competitor review platform, and can remember thinking like, there's this guy who is so loud on LinkedIn and you see him and thinking like, wow, this guy's really disrupting the market. So I've known about Callum since I started in e-commerce. But then moving across, I've worked at reviews platforms, loyalty platforms, and now I'm here and we've just started to combine the two together, which is a nice place to be. But the difference between us, I guess, and some of the other providers out there ultimately is we are very customer-centric and we try to live by what we're advising our customers to do in terms of getting feedback in and working with it, using it responsibly. So we listen to the customers who are on board with us and using the platform. We get a lot of feedback and suggestions from them on what they're wanting from different features. And we really do listen to them. And we also pride ourselves on our customer support as well. It's something that makes us stand out. And on other platforms like there's G2, which obviously is comparing tech across the board, whether it's reviews, whether it's email service providers, whoever. And when you go through some of our reviews on there, and our customers are saying, like, it comes to a point where they ask questions around, you know, what issues have you had with them so far? Is there any negatives? And going through that list, there's so many on there who do, there's nothing so far. Really happy with the support. Like, if anything has come up, it's been dealt with really quickly, and they're so helpful. And like, we pride ourselves on that. So it's
reviewing a review platform, you would think you would know a few things about reviews, wouldn't you?
Exactly.
And how to deal with them.
Yeah,
I think, you know, that is absolutely evident. Just anybody listening, go and look at, you know, the senior leadership team's socials, the LinkedIn, obviously Review's own social channels. You know, only the other day, you know, I was asked about reviews, you know, on LinkedIn, and commented, you know, obviously we've worked with you guys and Callum for, I think I said 5 years on the comment, but it's obviously more like 10 actually. So,
exactly.
But I think obviously the evolution of reviews, you know, it was, you know, me, I'm going back, way back, you know, when you were probably just getting your horse back in the day.
Maybe.
When you were like 14. And I'm like, reviews. You know, it's very much, you know, text, you know, you jump online, you do a Google review, you know, and that's sort of in its basic form. You know, you've had an experience with a company, you know, whether that's, so we're talking more on e-commerce, but with a company, or you bought something from a company. You know, back in the day, you know, the options really were to go to maybe Google reviews, Facebook reviews, jump on, go, yeah, I just got this, whatever it is, widget, fantastic, great service, great delivery, well packaged, speedy, product as described, boom, you know, and that's in its probably simplest form. That's what a review was, still is in some extent. But obviously now, you know, there's so much more to it. You know, so what are some of the maybe the fundamental elements to reviews.io that make you stand out in terms of the actual functionality of reviews.io?
Yeah, so you've hit the nail on the head. Like, all review platforms, the bread and butter is that rating and review collection, getting that fairly generalistic sort of, I guess, collection of feedback from customer, whether it's on a service or product level. With our feature set, we try to ultimately encourage brands to collect even more data, as much data as they can from their customers. And whether that is that rating, that review, any sort of custom attributes as well. So we've got some really good brands on board, so whether it's in fashion or skincare, who use attributes so that then when a new visitor is coming to the site, they're looking at the reviews. It's not just these generalistic, this was a nice product, 5 stars, thank you very much. They're giving additional data points so you can compare, you know, am I like this customer who says it's really great for them?
This is me.
Or am I, exactly. It's is this me? And is this going to work for me? So a really great example is an underwear brand that we work with. And they'd copped that, you know, they are predominantly an e-commerce brand. But how do you then get over sort of the sizing discrepancies and reduce sort of return rates and things like that when you're an online brand? But this is such a personal personal item to buy. So they actually use attributes in that way, where they'll build out customer attributes and these additional data points that people can fill out at the point of leaving their feedback, where they can say, you know, what size bra do they wear typically? You know, and, you know, have they been fitted? Have they used that brand's fit tape or whatever it is?
Yeah.
And then they can also, when they've got the product, they can then, like on a rating scale, the product attribute is, you know, does it fit perfectly? Is it too big? Is it too small?
It's slightly bigger than normal, slightly smaller, like certain brands do.
Yeah. So then when you go to this brand to buy from them, you can, as a new customer, see where you fit like for like with what people are saying. If it is a bigger chested person, then and that's, you are a bigger chested person, you're going to follow what they're saying, aren't you? Whereas then, like, smaller and so on. So the gist. But
That resonates, not so much the bras, but the size.
Yeah,
The size.
yeah.
I'm a big chap, for those that haven't met me. I'm
Exactly.
6'7". One of the first things you do, go to the reviews, on clothing, but certain brands I know are bigger sizes. This top, I know these brands, a lot of the American brands are bigger sizes.
Yeah.
But if it's a new brand, I'm thinking, well, it's a bit of a risk, isn't it? You don't know. Is it big, small? And for me personally, a lot of brands are too small for me. The normal size that I would take. So they're straight down to the reviews.
Exactly.
I'm a 6'5" male. That's nearly me. That resonates. He's talking about me. I bought it. Actually, I thought it would be too small, but it's actually perfect. That's my concern.
Exactly.
So you're building out those FAQs, aren't you? Building that into some sort of search criteria, whether that's used actually in a program, and you're using that to then rewrite descriptions and things like that.
Yeah.
But it's also there. It can be taken out into your customer services, can be put into your FAQs. But the big one for me is, that search content that you're creating for SEO.
Yeah.
That very real, rich media. Obviously it's not just text, which we'll come to. There's other forms of reviews, isn't there?
Yeah.
But creating that real content, sort of unique, on the fly, maybe daily for that product or that company, that's literally the SEO fuel that's getting created via your customers. Building a fan base, it's obviously a no-brainer, But so UGC, this is I think still a lot of e-com stores still not doing it.
No.
Why are they not doing it?
It's really interesting because we have brands who have actually they've got started, and in their infancy they've gone straight for wanting those influencer deals, wanting celebrity endorsement, but then they come and they go, this isn't going to be sustainable going forward. It's so expensive, depending on who is wearing your product, or if you're sending stuff out for free just so that you can get them pictured in it and use that. And UGC really is a no-brainer. So with us, you can collect, obviously, the product and company level feedback as standard, but you can also collect that additional photo and video content as well. If I'm honest, I don't know why they're not doing it. I think it's just a complete miss. But I do think it is one of those trends that is coming. There's a lot more people talking about user-generated content. There's a lot more getting built out off of the back of, obviously, these influencer sort of like deals previously. And you see a lot of that on social media as well. So whether that's, affiliates or ambassadors sort of showing off, and then they've got a code to...
Is there a way or an advice you would give to merchants to encourage customers to give or create UGC for them?
Absolutely, yeah. So whether it's linking up with their loyalty program, so Reviews has now also got our second platform, influence.io, which is loyalty programs, and you can reward people for taking those actions with you. So whether it's rewarding them for engaging with your brand on social media or for leaving you feedback. And there's specific rules with the Reviews to Influence link, which say you can reward specifically for leaving photo or video content.
So more points.
Points.
Yeah.
When points mean prizes.
Of course.
Exactly. So, but no, and then there's other strategies that brands can take as well in terms of building out sort of UGC specific campaigns. But really making sure that they have a goal in mind, what they want to achieve. Are they looking to get more video content, more just some more photo content, that whether that's going to sit on their widgets alongside the reviews, or they're going to take it out and use it as another sort of source of social proof. And it's all so easy for them to do within the platform, but I genuinely think that some brands, it's just a miss for them. But they can be running these campaigns, whether they're doing it through email or even just through how they're collecting their feedback with us, just straight out of the platform, out of the box. They can be rewarding them, but they can also, one of the best things they can do is really sort of engineer for the customer, make it as easy as possible for them to do it. So tell them what you're looking for. Tell them, we want to see you using our skincare, make sure you're in good lighting, and give them a bit of a tutorial for it, because actually there's so much around social media and sort of like the younger generations now, and they are all copying what influencers do. The amount of, just for one example, the amount of young girls who are really into skincare, really into watching the YouTube channels, the influencers on Instagram and stuff, and they want to copy that.
So So encourage.
So it's just, encouraging people to and making it as easy as possible for them to do so.
Listening to you there, I think, like you say, it's such a miss, or it's such a, merchants are looking for that little jump or big jump, when they hit the plateau. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. So you're doing X amount of thousands of orders a month. You're asking for normal reviews, say. Tie that into a loyalty program where you're encouraging people to leave other types of content, which is great. So then you're creating content that you can use on the page, you can use in your social media, you can use in your emails, you can use in all your marketing.
Yeah.
But also you're then encouraging them to buy again, which is the big one, isn't it? Ultimately that lifetime value. Yeah. Cost of acquisition, we could talk about that, depending on who we're, time of year and where we are, things are not getting cheaper-ish depending on, industry, but pretty much. So obviously cost of acquisition, loyalty, retention, tying that in with your email, this is a big bit.
Yes, absolutely.
Very much, when we're talking to merchants that are like, oh, I'm stuck at 5 mil, I'm stuck at 10 mil. So, well, what are you doing for your loyalty? Loyalty? Come on. You're just doing the built-in thing where it's like, oh, here's a checkout reminder and that's, whoa. There's so much more, So obviously that's quite a soft touch, isn't it? You're saying basically, here's send us a nice little video review about this product, and this is how other people have interacted with this product. Oh yeah, cool. I want to be part of that crew. Right. And then ultimately, they've got another point or two. They may be 1 point off a 5% or a unlocker, a certain set of products that only our VIP members get, especially if it's skincare and things like that. You've got like a certain drop that only our VIP or our second tier membership get. Oh, I'm now part of this group, and then you're in a different group, and you're building through the tiers. Obviously, there's a lot more to it than that, but it's quite a simple thing to literally unlock. I mean, obviously on your platform, it's all built in. Yeah,
exactly. It's all out of the box, and it's just a case of going through it. It's all really simple to set up as well. So yeah, it is. And you mentioned there about, having exclusive elements, like you get people onto the loyalty program and then they are incentivized, or they have sort of like more aspirational steps to kind of get them to rewards that they really, really want. Or if they are true sort of like solid advocates of the brand, those are the people who want to get to that top level gold tier, platinum tier, and they want to have those experiences with the brands. I know a lot of focusing on skincare again, I know a lot of girls who are obsessed with skincare and, maybe have moved away from packing our faces with makeup. We're now our poor skin needs to be looked after at this point in time, whether it's SPFs and things like that. And there's so many stores and things out there. One brand that does it really, really well, Space NK, and I know a lot of people will love Space NK, but they have a really good loyalty program, and what they do on it, you can get, when it's your birthday, you can go into store at any time of month, of your birthday month, that is, and they'll give you a free gift. Yeah. And it's because they've got your birthday tracked in the system. They could be doing that.
I'm a sucker for that.
Yeah, but you could be doing that with influence.io as well. Brands could be doing that. It's just a case of putting it putting it out there, making the loyalty side of things visible. Yeah. But it doesn't have to be a loyalty first approach. And I think sometimes brands maybe get a bit put off by that, and they think that, okay, of course, running a loyalty program, have I got the time in the day to be doing loyalty first campaign over here, this, that, the other? You could just be going on more of a soft touch approach and including in your, other email communications, whether it's your newsletter or other mailings post-purchase, if they are a member of your loyalty program, just keeping a little hint and reminders, having their points. Yeah. How many points have they got? Yeah. And it's just a little reminder that's maybe in the top corner of that email. Yeah. And it's not front and center, screaming, this is a loyalty program, use your points, do this, do that. Of course, you can send point reminder emails and so on.
I'm an absolute sucker for it. Certain brands I buy 2 or 3, and birthday is my birthday month, and I know in my birthday month I can go to the store and get, I think it's 10% off. Yeah. So quite often, most years, I haven't done it yet, so I know it's either side of my birthday, so I'm all right, I think. And I can go, and I quite often I've got 2 sort of older teenagers, and they're into their gear as well, so we'll go and do a bit of a drop.
Go do a shop,
and then we layer in other discounts, that we know we could get. We'd have quite a nice sort of maybe a 30% ish discount. Yeah. from that particular brand once a year, and it's a bit of a family thing. We'll go, right, it's
yeah, exactly.
but obviously then I also get, when you spend X amount, you get this as well. And then they do I think it's £20 off if you spend X. You stack it all up, obviously certain brands don't sort of stack the different deals. But so I think we're all sold. Reviews, reviews. If we were sat here 10 years ago, you need reviews, I think it just comes back to good old fashioned, at the end of the day, when somebody recommends somebody or something, you sort of listen, don't you? Whereas you just start looking, there's no reviews. Or, it's just like going back to our business. Somebody's looking for an SEO business to go to Google. We're going to say we're great. We think we're pretty good at what we do. We are.
Yep.
But so what? No one's going to say they're not.
Yep.
When they see a review or they see somebody on camera saying, do you know what? We used Ecom 1 5 years ago. We weren't sure because we'd used an agency before. We had some challenges and da-da-da-da. But they did this, and this. And now, so there's nothing better than an actual review and a personal recommendation. I don't think, obviously, absolutely, buying a product, especially some of those more complicated products, like you talk about clothing, sizing, colours, sizing specifically, can be a nightmare, can't it? So in apparel, it literally, obviously it goes without saying. But I think still companies and merchants fail to get, a fair percentage. They're doing, let's say, 10,000 orders as a round number a month or a day or whatever it may be. A day would be nice. Yeah. That's a big store. How can merchants get more reviews? How can they encourage their customers to give more reviews?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the worst thing they can do is set up their account and do a whole set and forget. It's just so why would you pay? Yeah. As part of your tech stack to set something up and then just, by all means, if it's an automated process and it does just run in the background, which there are elements of the platform that do that. So obviously it connects to the Shopify store, we get the order information in, the reviews go out, so on and so forth on a very basic level. But in terms of actually upping the response rate, it's making sure that the account is set up to succeed ultimately. Yeah. So making sure that you have got those automations in place. You haven't got someone manually going in and trying to upload stuff and then it's all going out at funny times. Making sure that the timing is right for the customer as well. So, they've just bought from you online, sending them a product review request at that point in time is not the right time.
10 minutes later.
Yeah. So straight away,
10 minutes after the post office order come from it. I haven't even took it out of the box yet.
Yeah, how is it? And then you've sent the review request out. Exactly, very vague.
Slow down. It's like the worst first date in the world.
Yeah, but it's completely the wrong timing. And, so they've then got that sat in their inbox. They can come back to it later, but chances are they're not. Yeah. They're not going to go back later unless there's something really wrong. Yeah, you've really messed up that time frame. So it's really making sure that you understand the lead times on whatever the product is you're delivering, or the right time, even if you are a service provider, because we work mainly in the e-commerce space, but we do have, I like to remind people that we do also have things like garage door specialists on our books, or, lawyers or consultancy firms. They're using reviews. Everyone who needs or wants reviews can gather reviews on the platform. But it's making sure that timing is right, so that then you are hitting them at the sweet spot. It's the same as sort of like email marketing and with personalization as well. Sending the right messages at the right time, you're going to get better results. Aside from, those sorts of elements in the setup, there are ways to encourage more feedback. So we've talked already a little bit around incorporating with the loyalty program. Yeah. So awarding points, it's perfectly acceptable to ethically incentivize feedback. Where that can fall down, and obviously that can get open to sort of abuse in a way, is if you're offering like a financial incentive. Typically, I don't really like to encourage anyone to do a financial incentive because it can look a bit, as the consumer, being saying, okay, we'll give you a £20 discount
if you say we're good.
Gift card if you, and it depends on what the messaging is as well.
Yeah, if you are really backfire that, I think.
Yeah, if you are incentivizing for feedback, if you're using the loyalty program, similar to that underwear brand we were talking about earlier, then it has to be that the reward is available to everyone. So regardless, you are ultimately rewarding them going to the effort for giving you their opinion. So it's not just, okay, 5-star people, you get to have extra 50 points. It's actually a thank you for the effort.
Of whatever, the time, the effort, regardless whether it's 1 or 5 star.
Because it is an effort. The fact that you are then gathering feedback, if you are getting feedback in, you can actually identify at that point, like, you've got quite an engaged customer base. They are willing to leave that feedback. And obviously there's other elements that feed into that, whether it's been a negative experience and they're trying to get your attention and or if they are, absolutely raving about what they've received and really enjoying their experience with you. But I think ethical incentivization, points on a loyalty program, really easy way to do it. And like this other brand was doing, you can break that down so you can give additional points for additional UGC as well. So really sort of hamming it up for what you want to collect in.
Now, you might be looking for an SEO boost, a down-to-earth digital PR campaign to share your story, or maybe just some straightforward technical help to amp up your performance. Now, that's where eCom Now comes in. A partner that's all about making things easier for your online store. Our services cover everything from creating professional content for your e-commerce categories to refining your product descriptions. Now, whether you're just starting out or have been in it for a while, we're here to deliver real, impactful results that add to your bottom line without unnecessary commitments. You can order one-off or multiple projects with a quick turnaround. Simply choose what you need.
You touched on negative reviews, and I think a lot of people are like, oh, we'll get a negative review. I think those that have been doing it a while, well, no, you'll always get the odd one. Something will go wrong, or it might not, but the customer... they might have just gone out and missed the delivery, and that is your fault.
Exactly.
So, negative reviews, what's sort of the best strategy dealing with negative reviews?
Negative reviews, what I always, if I'm put in front of a brand and they ask that kind of a question, is you just got to spin it as a positive for the business. Negative reviews can be some of the strongest collateral that you can gather in as part of the feedback strategy, because it's giving you that insight into where stuff's gone wrong along the way. Has it been that the delivery's been a bit duff? Okay, do we need to reconsider who we're using on like the logistics front? Yeah. Has it been that they've had really poor customer service? Right. Who did they interact with? Where's that ticket? What's gone on there? Let's investigate. Is it a case that your product's arrived or, or it's the wrong product? So what's happened on the picking line? The product's not great. It was poorer quality than they expected, or it's come and it's got holes in it, or it's not what it was supposed to be, So you're then gathering all that insight in, and then you can then, as a brand, adapt and sort of like work on the improvements. And then you're gonna, you're basically bypassing that in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's almost like it's an opportunity.
Yeah,
if you get a negative review. It's like, well, negative review, right. What do you do?
And there's
deal with it, learn from it. Yeah. Obviously, all those areas you said, customer services, delivery, third-party partners you're using for delivery, logistics. Whether you're doing drop ship. Well, they thought 4 days. It should have been 2. I mean, I didn't know this was going on. Hang on. Well, we would have had another 20 negative reviews if our review rates were up. Yeah. Using it, and I've seen firms like it's very difficult to do a scale, but when somebody turning those. Well, obviously, I'm potentially quite a disgruntled customer. Nothing better than taking a disgruntled customer to literally like your biggest fan, super fan. It's like, wow, as a business owner, I know I have in the past, like, right, somebody's not happy. We are going to turn this into, right, let's sort it. Let's absolutely sort it. And I've seen e-com store owners go and like say, right, I'll have another one with you, and look how far the house is from their office, and they'll jump in their car 2 hours away, and they'll drive as the owner of the e-com store and go, hey, sorry about that. Yeah. Let them keep the other one. If obviously it depends what it is. Obviously, if it's a hot tub or something, it's tricky. Yeah. But we sold hot tubs online. 30K is tricky. But yeah, you can turn, and then they're like, oh my God, I left a review, and 2 hours later, I've got a replacement. They go back on, oh, thank you, they sorted it out. There's people reading that response to that review. And obviously the merchant responding, and then the customer responding again. As you do see, obviously some quite comical there's there's quite a few like Instagram reels doing the rounds, isn't there, where like certain, say, restaurants and takeaways where people go in and say, oh, worst experience ever, or have to wait 4 hours or something, and then the owner jumps back in and go, don't be ridiculous.
Yeah,
you waited 40 minutes.
yeah. I was there myself, and
you ate.
Yeah,
That's it.
exactly.
You had 47 prawn crackers.
You brought back your empty containers. Like, what?
Yeah, you were putting it in a bag.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, with the negative stuff as well, it's so important that brands are responding to their feedback. Yeah. And you're heading it off at the pass. And whether that is direct, like, you can be notified when, whatever level feedback you want to be notified to, you can get that notification come through on email and so on. But you can also connect it directly into your customer support help desk as well. So that's another really important feature with all of the partnerships that we have with reviews, on the tech side and on the agency side, but being able to have all of your tech connected, talking to each other, so that you can then you can head these things off. It's not just about it all being siloed off in one platform. The fact that we connect with help desks like Gorgeous, where the notification comes through straight into the support inbox, that support team can jump on it straight away. You're not then having to get an email notification, go into the platform, go over here, think about what you're doing. Oh, I'm not the right person to be answering this, so we need to go here. Your support team can just pick that up straight away, and it's then it's just the internal training on like, okay, how do we manage when it's a delivery failure or when it is a duff product, like what are we going to do? And that's again where the loyalty side of stuff can play in, is using that to help ultimately like appease customers if something's gone wrong. So, okay, really sorry your delivery is late. We've added another 100 points to your cart. So next time you come shop with us, you can get free delivery.
Embrace the negative reviews. It's feedback. You can improve, and I think in any scale business, there's always room for improvement, obviously. And as a busy business owner or a busy manager looking after, say, delivery, and you'll miss stuff, or depending on what industry you're in, you're going to possibly be scaling at such a speed and think, hang on a minute, actually, it's just getting there a little bit late, or actually, we're not packing properly. We ran out of squidgy stuff for the boxes, and we've actually rattled and we broke. Hang on a minute, is that all not a simple thing? Maybe it just needs to get caught. So I think we've covered reviews. We're convinced. We're in reviews.io.
Yes, please.
So obviously, I know you go to a lot of events.
Yes.
As we do, and we cross paths at a lot of different events. What are some of the trends you're seeing in e-commerce right now, sort of out there, talking to a lot of merchants?
Yeah. So I mean, we touched upon it already. The rise of UGC and repurposing content that you can get. Without, super heavy budgets or having to do a lot in a studio, and having those more real-life experiences on display to help encourage sales and conversions and so on. So definitely the rise of more UGC, more of the AI. As well, AI in general. So the AI, like AI in general, it's like some sort of the great unknown, the AI. But AI in customer support, and really trimming down like how many people do you need on a customer support team if you can get automated responses or links to articles and so on. AI within the platforms that you're using as part of your tech stack as well. So. As soon as ChatGPT came out last year, or there was all the hype, obviously didn't just come out then, but like the hype around it last year, how can brands use that? How can technology businesses use that? And everyone's kind of jumping on it like, where's the merits to this? And one of the first things that we kind of jumped in on was actually adding an element of AI responses and to responding to feedback. So when you're in the system, reviews coming in, you need to start, the importance of responding to feedback, and actually being able to generate responses to that, and then the system learning, what the tone is here and things like that, and the intelligence behind that.
So there you're getting an element of speed that you might not get if somebody's on a dinner break or
exactly, or if you've had an influx of feedback, maybe post Black Friday, you're thinking like, oh gosh, how are we going to manage it? Do we need to staff extra people on board, or actually again with those customer support desks, can we automate parts of this to speed that up. So then we are keeping the people open to those more complex issues that are coming through.
I was thinking you need a bit of AI. When it's your birthday on social media, which was my birthday yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday!
You log on. Thank you very much. You log onto Facebook, and it's like, I don't remember all these people. And I logged onto LinkedIn. It's like, oh my god. I was like, I got like 250 happy birthdays. I thought I wasn't that popular. So you're like, do I actually respond to them all?
Respond all. Thanks.
So I could do an AI happy birthday widget.
I've got to put that out there. Yeah, happy responses to occasions.
But then you think, I don't really want. I thought you'd forgotten me over there. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean AI. I think it's covering all aspects of e-commerce now. Is it obviously the platforms are building it in, or they have built it in to create the metadata, the descriptions, a lot of the word side of things, the imagery, the alt text, a lot of the SEO pieces, customer services, responding, whether that's for review, different platforms, the elements where, manual process was needed for text. Obviously, it can do a very good first version, if not a complete version that gets used, responding to things. Using it to analyze stock, warehouse. It's I think we're going to do a lot of episodes on AI. We've got a couple of big plans coming.
I think it's going to come up a lot. I think a lot of, whether it's tech partners or it's whoever, brands, agencies, whoever, AI is moving in, and it's ultimately, there is some fear mongering around AI as well, but it's got its place, and I think it's people harnessing where it fits in for them, and how can we make this work for us?
So we're going to change direction a little bit,
okay,
and we're going to talk about women equality and women in e-commerce.
Yes.
I think obviously I've been in this industry for a long time, 25 years, I think, and through the years, go to various events, and even a couple of years ago, I remember going to a very well-known partner event, and there was like 100 chaps there. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the industry-ish. It's not a broad statement, but I know you're very passionate about women and equality. Why and where does that drive come from?
I when I was sort of thinking about this, and I think, because I'm a woman, it's important to me. But I think it is just generally a really important topic. In general, there's been so much work over the years to raise women's equality across the board, not just in the workplace, but in life in general. I am actually very fortunate in that the environment I've been brought up in, and the people that I've been brought up around, and that's at home life, school life, work life, actually have been around people who ultimately foster that, the relationship between my parents. Like, my mum predominantly was stay at home. She had 3 kids. We were all ranging age levels. So I think there's about 7 years between my brother and I'm the youngest. And Dad went out to work. But they ultimately worked as a team, and they recognised that, okay, Mum's over here doing this, Dad's over here doing that. And there was never any well, I'm winning all the money and you stay at home. None of that going on at all. They absolutely recognised each other's merits and worked as a team. And that's what I got brought up with. So there was never any when I grow up, I'm just going to become a stay-at-home mum or anything like that. We were encouraged. So I've got an older sister too. And we were encouraged to go for whatever it was we wanted to do. So my sister, when she was at school, she got an army scholarship, and it was her and 2 boys. And she got that scholarship, and then it was going to help her get through uni and whatever she wanted to go do. She ended up not actually going into the armed forces at the end, but then she did think about maybe a career in the police, or she's now moved into accountancy and works for a big payment processing. Everyone knows the brand. But we were encouraged to do that. That's what I've been brought up with, and I'm very fortunate to have been brought up with that. So as I've then moved into my professional career, that's actually when it started to come into play a little bit, from when I started to recognise that, okay, not everything is quite a level playing field here. And it's a difficult thing to then come across, because I think possibly through how it's kind of been embedded, maybe sort of society, or it's kind of just sort of like this insidious thing that's kind of happened over time. There is a lot going on to sort of start breaking down barriers. It's just happening very slowly. And I think, when I started my career and I, was ultimately in an admin role to start with, there are elements of my job, and actually elements it's happened before in sort of partnership roles too, where when I started out, I was positioned near the front desk because I was a young female, and it looks nice to have a smartly dressed young female. I'm not here to toot my own horn and be like, look how nice I look, or anything like that. But that was it.
Yeah,
that was it.
You could see that happening.
Yeah, and I was. So when I started out, in a way, I've come into the game a little bit later than people. I haven't come straight in from uni or job from college or anything. I came into e-commerce ultimately when I was about 25. Yeah. And straight away I copped that. I wasn't like, okay, this is how it works. So I was like, oh, I see what's happening here. And also where I was, there was an element where I was the admin girl. Our CEO would walk in and I was expected to know his coffee order as soon as she saw his car pull up outside, hop to the kitchen, make the coffee order, and it would be there as he sat down at the desk and be like, thanks, love. And then I was like, oh, fantastic. That's what I'm here for, isn't it? But then, so that's maybe playing a little bit more into sort of those old school ways,
combo,
which is like the crossover of the generation, like how it's come to be across generations. The other thing was when I moved into more of a support and onboarding role, how many of the roles in support sort of roles up. We had like an upstairs area, which was our customer success team. And upstairs, there's a lot more females in those support roles and customer-facing roles in that sort of regard. You walk down the stairs to the sales team, room full of men. Yeah. And there was like 30-odd men. Yeah. And it wasn't necessarily anything so stark as to, you walk down there and it's jeering and lads and all of this kind of thing. There was stuff like that going on. And of course, I think you could walk through and you might hear like, oh, yeah, whatever, a bit about some female counterpart or someone, a celebrity on TV or whatever. But again, still not really experience any sort of real direct, you are a woman, you are lesser than someone else. But it is just this, almost like this institutionalized, almost like habit that's formed over time. And as I say, it is being broken down and it's being talked about more, which I think is where it's really positive, is we're talking about it now. Yeah. It's a topic that it's got a seat at the table. And I don't necessarily think that the solution is you could go completely one end of the scale with this and over-egg it, and you could say, we need to give women all of the opportunities, and here, Vic, tomorrow we're going to make you the CEO of reviews because then it looks good and all of that. Everyone's going to see through that straight away. What we're talking about is...
You take it, though.
Am I? If the price was right? No. But is that equality? We want to be on the same level and have the same level of opportunities. And if there's something from more of like more of the equity side of it, so that we're all on the same step or we're on the same level,
the commercial side.
So whether it's to do with the gender pay gap as well, or I asked the question at so you mentioned the event we went to last week, and Karen Brady was the keynote speaker. And of course, there were questions flying around. I found it really, really funny that, not to bash men, but a lot of the men who asked the questions were straight like, I support X football club Karen and la, la, la. And then they were either asking football questions first and things like that, and what she thinks going on. And that's great because obviously she's got where she is in male-dominant world football. But then any females in the room who are asking questions like, what do you think about the percentage of women in business and how can we drop the barriers to us getting there and things like that? And my question was actually more around, there has been a survey done recently in e-commerce about how women make up the majority of the workforce in e-commerce. But then when you look at senior level positions, we only account for about 30% of that, around 30%. And I sort of put that to Karen as part of my question. I said, what do you perceive the barriers to actually be? Because we can all sit here and say, I really struggle with this, whether it's, people planning to have a family in the future, or maybe it's just a case of some level of imposter syndrome, or you are in a more male-dominated team and you don't know how to push through that without, any perceptions falling on you. Do I look like I'm being demanding if I'm asking for something? Or am I expected to be the sort of like weaker, meeker, like, oh yeah, of course, yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir, let me get your coffee and it'll be there on your desk kind of reactions. And I think there's a part where women need to be empowered to have that confidence, to go for things, to go for those opportunities when they open up and push for them. And I think there's a level of allyship. And I think that happens quite well within our industry. Like I get on so well with so many of my male counterparts, and there's so much that I've like aspired to be or improve and things because I've seen them do it well. So there's that nice give and take. But I think, it's a case of ultimately like we're not asking for full compensation over all time. And maybe I'm talking maybe a bit generously from my perspective. I don't want to see women suddenly be given the earth as like some sort of like payoff for we've struggled over this time. It needs to be we are all on the same level and we are recognise that. I want to see those numbers improve. I want to see more women in leadership positions. And even now I look at any tech business out there, you're looking on LinkedIn, you're seeing who are the CEOs of this business. Okay, maybe they were the brainchild of, bringing it together, but why is that? There's so many questions to ask. Why are there so many men in
I think we could do a whole episode.
Well, this is the thing is, we open up the door and it could go on and on and on and on and on. But ultimately, to sort of summarize on that, is we just want to have a level playing field. And we don't want siloing of women versus men or anything like that going on. We just need the help to get there.
Well, thank you for that. I think the industry that we're in, I think it is it's getting better. I do see that, but I do think certain leaders need to have a little look at what they're doing. Should we leave it at that? Yeah. So it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Victoria.
Thank you very much.
Last couple of questions. Obviously, knowing that you're obviously on the coalface with the reviews.io and reviews every day, is there anything you can share about what's maybe coming down the pipeline on the roadmap for the next sort of 12 months or so with reviews.io and reviews?
Yeah, sure. So like I sort of alluded to at the start, was we are constantly innovating, and it's a really nice place to be working for a tech company where we do move quick and an idea comes in, we build it out. And that's what happened with the loyalty side of the platform. And then all the features that have come since then and listening to customer feedback. So that's something we're definitely we'll keep doing. That's what we want to keep doing. You mentioned earlier as well and touched upon the App Hub acquisition. And in the background, we have been ultimately mapping out how we're going to bring that to front and go to market with that. So that's going to be coming further down the line. So I can't talk too much on it at this point in time. But, there's other apps in the mix that we will then be working closer with as part of that suite. So there's reviews and there's influence. There was also the acquisition of Boost last year. And then there's other apps on the roster like Address Validator, Viral Sweep, and
that's what I love about reviews.
There are so many. So that's all to come, and that's a really exciting place to be as well, is going to market as more of like an app hub group, so to speak.
So I like to finish every episode with a book recommendation, Victoria. Do you have a book that you recommend to our listeners?
Yes, I actually have 2 books. So because I've finished 2 books in conjunction with each other, very random, like completely different as well. So on a non-fiction basis, there's a book called The Advice Trap by Michael Bungay Stanier, I think is his final name, is his surname. And The Advice Trap, it's one of those books which it catches you out a little bit. It's a bit like doing, I don't know if you've ever done like the 16 personalities test or like those color personality tests. It almost is a bit like that, where you suddenly are like, oh my goodness, I do that. And it's all about, exactly. It's all about when someone is coming to you and, they've got a bit of a problem, or they might just be venting, whatever. It's that human need to jump in and help or provide advice. But that's not always what's needed. Some people just need a vent, or it can ultimately end up sort of breaking that other person's confidence because they're like, oh, you've jumped in and I wasn't actually looking for advice on that. It's a really good book in terms of helping with communications. It's helped me with managing when, if I'm talking directly with a brand and trying to actually have more of that active listening going on. It's really hard. Active listening is actually a really difficult skill to build up, and that's really helped on that front. So that's a really good book, and it's not a massive book either. Sometimes sort of businessy books or
sounds great for all the leaders and aspiring leaders that are listening in.
The second one, just for pure enjoyment, and I've read it over and over again, is The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey. J.R.R. Tolkien. Just absolute magic. One of those books that you're in it and you're in that world.
And we have a few magical Hobbit fans in the office. I know we do.
It is as well. There's a reason it's so well loved. So
fantastic. We'll link them both up. I'll see which ones don't get the most clicks. It'll be interesting.
Absolutely. Let's do a poll. Maybe the Hobbits will win.
Well, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank
for those
you.
that want to reach out to you, Victoria, and reach out to reviews.io, what's the best way to do that?
You can do that on my email. So I'm victoria@reviews.io, or find me on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe or follow button wherever you are listening to this podcast, so you're always the first to know when a new episode is released. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you on the next one.